Hello, Mount Dora. I'm Rob English, the president of the Mount Dora Area Chamber of Commerce, and we're excited to be kicking off our video series on veterans. Veterans are the ones that have protected us through the years and years of many wars that we've been in, and the experiences that they've experienced are just phenomenal. And today, I'm excited to be with Billy Sparrow, a Navy veteran. He's got an exciting story to share with us, and I'm just looking forward to that. First of all, welcome, Billy.
Thank you.
And tell me, okay, you went in. When did you actually go in to boot camp? You remember? I'm sure you do.
Well, I joined the reserves, and I joined that in 1967.
Okay.
And part of the reserves is you serve 2 years active duty.
That's right.
And so I went to boot camp during 67. In 1968, in October, I went to California, in San Diego, where I was in river patrol boat. They taught us the Vietnamese language. We learned how to control the boat, how to drive it, and all the things you do on the boat. And then in November of 68, I had my first experience of the Saigon.
The real war.
The real war.
Yes. Yeah, so you were a river rat. You were telling me about being a river rat, okay?
Yes.
And how many men were on the boat? Just tell me a little bit about the boat.
The boat was a 32-foot fiberglass boat.
Okay.
There were 4 men on it. We had a gunner's mate on the front of the boat, and he had a twin 50 caliber machine gun. Usually the boat captain piloted the boat. I was in the middle of the boat on a 60 caliber machine gun, and our engineman was on the rear with a single 50 caliber machine gun.
Amazing. Okay, now we're talking Vietnam on the rivers, hot and sweaty. I've heard all the stories, but you're on a 32-foot boat. You're fully exposed out there with the enemy on the shores of the river. Tell me about your experience, because I heard about it today, about your captain and you. Just tell a little bit about that.
Well, on February the 17th, 1969, we were traveling the Vam Co Dong River in Vietnam.
Yes, sir.
We were patrolling. We have 12-hour patrols, and we were coming back during daylight hours, and we were coming down the river, and we travel in 2 boats.
Okay. And
that way one covers the other. Well, usually the VC or the Viet Cong, whenever they shot at our boat, shot at the rear boat. That day our boat happened to be the boat that was running behind. The rocket was shot from behind us, went into the coxswain flat, which my boat captain and I just changed places about 5-10 minutes earlier, and hit him.
Okay.
And killed him. And I was wounded. My other 2 boatmates were also wounded, the 3 of us. That day I was medevaced out and to Saigon, where they took the piece of shrapnel out the side of my face and laid it in my hand, and I still have that as a souvenir. So that's my souvenir from Vietnam, is a piece of shrapnel.
Right, yeah.
And then I kind of left Vietnam. I kind of decided to put Vietnam behind me, so from 1970 until about 2010, Vietnam was just kind of out there and
a distant
left
memory.
Behind.
Yeah.
And so in 2010, our church decided to do a Stories of War, and they invited veterans to come back, and we had some veterans speaking. And at that time, I decided to research my River Division in Vietnam, which is River Division 593.
Okay.
And come to find out that they had written a book, and this book is called Iron Butterfly. And so whenever I found this on the internet, I went to Amazon and pulled up the book, and they do a couple of pages in there. And on the second page I looked, and it had my name. And at that point I said, well, I think I need to have this book to see what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, God's hands were in that, because it could have been another page with other names on it.
Right.
Exactly, as far as the index. Yeah.
And then come to find out that our captain of the division, or our lieutenant that was in charge, had sat down, and every day he did a running, I guess you could say, summary of what happened every day. And they listed in the book, and they listed exactly what happened on February the 17th, 1969.
That's fabulous. I was looking at the book earlier. It's on page 163, the account of what happened that Billy is referred to, and his name is specifically mentioned in there. It's phenomenal. So obviously, because of his injury, you're awarded. I'm sorry, it's upside down. You got the Purple Heart Award. So Billy is a recipient of the Purple Heart. And when were you awarded this? What year was this that you were awarded?
Well, this came later. I didn't receive it while I was in Vietnam. Okay. I came home and they actually just sent it to me, so I didn't get a whole lot of presentation.
Well, you know, the Vietnam War, all wars are tragic and all wars are very important as far as the celebration of freedom here in America. The Vietnam War, unfortunately, was one of the wars that the guys didn't get the rave and the thankfulness that they should have gotten in the beginning. But I think as time has gone on, we've come to realize what you guys did for us. And that area of the country, world is heating up again with North Korea. And we just hope that that's able to be worked out without another Korean situation or Vietnam situation in that area. In closing, Billy, what would you like to share with us? You're speaking to an audience here in Mount Dora. A closing statement.
Well, like I said, whenever I came back, I put Vietnam behind me. And I've seen a lot of veterans since then that won't even talk about it. I meet with a group of guys on Tuesday, and there's a lot of veterans, and they just won't talk about it. And I feel like, for me, it's kind of a release to be able to discuss it. I know some people hate to relive exactly what they went through in Vietnam, but I'm hoping that the guys that, you know, are suffering from PTSD and other things, that they'll be able to overcome that and be able to kind of live a halfway normal life.
Thank you, Billy. These series that we're doing on the veterans lead up to our chamber breakfast in November, where we will actually be inviting all of these in. And if you're a veteran, we want to buy your breakfast for you and your significant other that morning. The November breakfast is the second Wednesday of each month, so the second Wednesday of November, just prior to traditional Veterans Day. We're so excited to be bringing you this series. Again, I'm Rob English, the president of the Mount Dora Area Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for tuning in, and look forward to the next veteran that we honor.